Hello everyone, myself Saumya and today we'll be talking about our next chapter which is Introduction to Mass Communication. In this chapter we will study its meaning, the functions of mass communication, elements of mass communication, unique characteristics of mass communication, process of mass communication. Let's start with the introduction. Mass communication is communicating with masses. It is distinguished from other forms of communication as it caters to a large number of heterogeneous receivers separated from each other both physically and emotionally. In this lesson, we shall focus on the mass communication. The meaning. Mass communication can be defined as the process of using a mass medium to send message to large audiences for the purpose of informing, entertaining, or persuading. The transmission of messages which may be processed by gatekeepers prior to being sent to large audiences via a channel of broad diffusion. Mass communication uses technological means to produce the message and disseminate it to large number of receivers. Mass communication is a process whereby mass produced messages are disseminated to large heterogeneous anonymous audience using technological means. Mass communication occurs when a small number of people send messages to a large anonymous and usually heterogeneous audience through the use of specialized communication media. Mass communication is the spreading of a message to an extended, mixed multiple of receivers using rapid means of reproduction and distribution at a low unit cost to the consumer. We require a sender, a message, a channel, and a receiver for communication to occur. Further, there is feedback, which is the response or reaction of the receiver, which comes back to the sender through the same or some other channel. Another element which plays an important role in communication is noise or the disturbances. It is observed that the term mass communication must have at least five aspects: large audience, fairly undifferentiated audience composition, some form of message reproduction, rapid distribution and delivery, low cost to the consumers. Mass communicators. The heart of mass communication is the people who produce the message that are carried in the same media. These people include journalists, public relation practitioners, and advertisers, among others. Now let's talk about the functions of mass communication. Mass communication or mass media are described as the fourth pillar of democracy. They perform the role of watchdog over the society and government and expose corrupt practices. Mass media like cinema, television, radio, and books, etc., help people cope with or escape from their environment. Mass media create opinions and serve an important economic function by providing employment to millions of people. In fact, each medium, be it newspaper, television, films, books, audio, to and video cassettes, has now grown to the stature of an industry. All the above functions of mass communications are secondary. The primary functions of mass communication include information, entertainment, persuasion, and transmission of the culture. Number one, to inform or to educate. Number two, to entertain. Number three, to persuade. Number four, transmission of culture. Number one, to inform. Dissemination of information is the primary function of the news media. Newspapers, radio, and TV provide us news from around the world and keep us informed. Over the years, the concept of news has changed. News media do not tell it like it is anymore. From mere describing the events, news media have come to include human interest, analysis, and factorized treatment to news. Journalists are not just reporters now. They have become news analysts who discuss the implications of important news stories. Also, more soft stories are felt these days. In addition to dissemination of information, news media provide us information and also helps understand the news events, ideas, policy changes, etc. Number two, to entertain. The most common function of mass communication is entertainment. Radio, television, and films are basically entertainment media. Even newspapers provide entertainment through comics, cartoons, features, crossword puzzles, word jumbles, etc. Entertainment through radio consists of mainly music. Radio also provides entertainment through drama, talk shows, comedy, etc. Television has become primarily an entertainment medium. Even highly specialized channels like news channels, nature, and wildlife channels also have a lot of humorous and comic content. Among all media, films are perhaps the only medium concentrating on entertainment. Except documentaries, educational films, and art movies, all films are made to provide 3 hours of escape, fantasy, and entertainment. To persuade. Most of mass media are used as vehicles of promotion and persuasion. Goods, services, ideas, persons, places, events, the range of things that are advertised through mass media is endless. Different media have different features and reach. Advertisers and advertising agencies analyze these features and depending upon the nature of the message and the target audience choose where, in which media and how, with what frequency the message should be placed. Transmission of the culture. Any communication leaves a direct or indirect impact on an individual. It becomes part of one's experience, knowledge, and accumulated learning. Through individuals, communication becomes part of the collective experience of groups, audiences of all kinds, and finally the masses. Mass communication, being the most potent, most far reaching of all communication, plays an important role in the transmission of culture from one place to another and from one generation to the next. Elements of mass communication. The first element is source. Source or sender of the message may become same or different. Source mostly represents the institution or organization where the idea has been started. Source is usually an organization or a collection of highly specialized people. It involves a large group of people who are involved in the process of conceiving, collecting, processing, and transmitting the message. Most of these activities involve complex technologies, infrastructure, and huge investments. In case of source and the sender being different, the sender belongs to media institution or is a professional in media communication. A scientist or a technologist may use the mass communication media himself for propagating his idea, or else they can send the script of the message to the media for delivering the message by an announcer or a reporter. Thus, source in mass communication is a collection of people with a lot of different expertise and professionalism who are trained in their field. Content. Message is often called content in mass communication. It includes information, news, views, education, entertainment, and persuasion. A message needs production for making it communicable through the media. The message is produced and processed and to put to various forms like talk, discussion, interview, documentary, play, etc. In case of radio and TV. In case of newspapers, the message is processed by means of article, feature, news story, etc. One important characteristic of message is that it is very general and impersonal in nature. This is because the message is not directed at any specific group but highly diverse and heterogeneous audience. Another aspect of message is the way in which it is treated by the audience. As individual members differ from one another, no media content is equally liked or disliked or similarly acted upon the audience members. Channel. The term channel and media are used interchangeably in mass communication. Modern mass media like radio, television, newspaper spread the message with enormous speed far and wide. The first such medium is the book. It was written on leaves without using any technology in the mid 15th century. All the changed with the invention of printing press by John Gutenberg of Germany. By the beginning of 19th century arrived newspaper. Towards the end of 19th century arrived cinema, then in 1920 radio came and television followed soon. The latest entry is internet. The mass media from books to internet have become part and parcel of our lives. The channels of mass communication can be classified into four broad categories: print, newspaper, books, magazines, pamphlets, etc. Electronic, radio, TV, cinema, internet. Advertising, public relations. Audience. Mass communication means communication to the masses. So there remains mass of individuals at the receiver end of the communication. This mass of receivers are often called as audience. Audience can be defined as individuals united by a common focus of interest to be informed, educated, or entertained, engaging in identical behavior towards common ends, listening, viewing, or reading. Yet the individuals involved are known unknown to one another. They are anonymous. The individuals belong to various religions, caste, and class, heterogeneous. They are not at all united and spread over a vast geographical area. The most outstanding characteristic of the mass communication is that it has a widespread audience separated from the source by a considerable distance. Mass communication has an enormous ability to multiply a message and make it available in many places. The greatest advantage of this mode of communication is the rapid spread of message to a sizable audience remaining scattered far and wide, thus cost of exposure per individual is lowest. There are basically three types of audiences: readers, listeners, and viewers. For network TV like DD1 or private channel, the audience could be millions of viewers. For a highly successful film, the audience could be few million viewers. For an average book, the audience could be few thousand, and for a scholarly journal, the audience could be few hundred. Whatever size each audience is composed of, each individual in mass has a separate and distinct personality, and they react to message. Noise. Noise in mass communication is of two types: channel noise and semantic noise. Channel noise is any disturbance within transmission aspect of media. In print media, channel noise will be misspelling, scrambled words, omitted lines, or misprinting. Any type of mechanical failure stops the message from reaching the audience in its original form. Semantic noise will include language barriers, difference in education level, social economic status, occupation, age, experience, and interests between the source and the audience members. One way of solving the problem of semantic noise is to use simplicity and commonality. Unique characteristics of mass communication. The first characteristic is delayed feedback. Feedback in mass communication is usually very less and rarely immediate. Feedback is often delayed in mass communication, or there is no feedback sometimes. Unlike in case of intra, inter or group communication, a great distance separates the source and receivers of mass communication from each other. Thus, the audience response or feedback often is limited and delayed. In mass communication, multitude of receivers receive the message. They may receive messages simultaneously and immediately in most cases. In case of TV news and programs, or over a long period of time, as in case of the movies and books, or over centuries, as in case of the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Bible, or the great classics. Moreover, every individual perceives messages according to his or her personal self concept, perception, or frame of reference, so there is a variety of feedback. And in many cases, there is no or very negligible feedback, like news has no feedback. There are varying degrees of delayed feedback ranging from few minutes, internet chat shows, or to several weeks or months. Delayed feedback is an unavoidable and inbuilt aspect of mass communication. Gatekeeping. The enormous scope of mass communication demands some control over the selection and editing of the messages that are constantly transmitted to the mass audience. Mass media content passes through many persons within the source organization before it reaches the audience. Different personnel are involved in the process of collecting, compilation, presentation, processing, production, and finally dissemination of mass media content. All these personnel are referred as gates, and mass media content is regulated at each of these stages for its suitability to the audience. Both individuals and organizations do gatekeeping. Different media and particularly media organizations adopt specific formats of gatekeeping. It involves setting standards and limitations that serve as guidelines for both content development and delivery of a mass communication message. This is a unique characteristic to mass communication as it is not present in other level of communication. For example, the reportorial staff, the editorial staff, the ombudsman exercise control in their individual capacities. Ombudsman is the legal expert who checks for elements that could lead to legal problems. Government, press council, editors and guild, etc. are organizations exercising control over newspaper content. Process of mass communication. Source. Mass communication process begins with a specific source that has a message. The source can be an individual, an institution, a company, or a government. Communicator